ABC, Conklin and Company, with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First, with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Conklin and Company. Today on the program, well, the forums are over, the debates are over, and the election is just a couple of days away now. We're going to talk politics with a veteran observer of the political scene here in Northwest Ohio for decades. Mike Beasley is the Oregon City Administrator, but certainly knows his way around the political arena. We'll talk with Mike and Take 3 a little bit later. Also, the Rockets taking flight. The men's basketball program really picked to finish in the upper echelon of the Mid-American Conference and perhaps beyond. Todd Kowalczyk leading the renaissance. The head men's basketball coach will join us as well. But the big news this past week, coming from the Catholic Diocese of Toledo, that Bishop Leonard Blair would be leaving to take an archbishop's post in Connecticut, in Hartford, Connecticut. And here to tell us more about that is T.K. Barger. He's the Blade religion editor and also was on the Blade briefing earlier this week talking with our Diane Larson about this very, very significant move within the Catholic Church for many people here locally, TK. So great to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thank you, Lee.
First of all, did it come as a surprise to Catholic observers, of which I am one, and a person in the Catholic religion, and we have hundreds of thousands here in Northwest Ohio? Surprise, this move?
Yes, I think it was a surprise that the announcement was so sudden, it seemed. As we were talking earlier, Bishop Blair has been here 10 years. And yes, there are some people who are not surprised that he is becoming an archbishop, but just the timing coming as it did, that was the surprise.
And it happened, we learned, as the bishop was being announced or being unveiled or revealed that he was going to be an archbishop in Connecticut. He was in Hartford that day. We got nothing here from the diocese locally.
That's right. We could have used a little eye wink or something.
Didn't happen.
Did not happen. The bishop, I think, is one who knows when to keep his mouth shut, and he did not want to telegraph the announcement.
Pretty close to the vest. Okay, so I guess the bottom line is, what's this mean for the Diocese of Toledo? This has been a 10-year, he has presided over this portion of the church for 10 years now. Locally, and that has not come without some controversy. He had to come in and much consolidation within the diocese, and consternation with SNAP, and also some controversy with the Komen Foundation. So it has not been a totally smooth road.
That's true. But first, let's look at what comes next. There will be a diocesan administrator who is officially appointed by a group of 8 priests in the diocese. Will appoint somebody basically to act as bishop until the next bishop is named. And that could be more than a year for his tenure. And his main role is not to change things, to hold on to the diocese as it is. So the new guy, when the new bishop is appointed, can come in and form the diocese according to his vision. But what that does mean is carrying forward what Bishop Blair has done. And you might say we're in a period of relative stability right now. There have been Catholic schools closing or consolidating, that type of thing, and parishes closing.
Nature of the beast, right?
Yes,
yes. With the problem with the downsizing of the church a bit, right?
Right. But with that, we can assume that we're in a period of stability where there will not be further closings or anything like that. But there also will not be reopenings, I would not think, until a new bishop comes in.
He came in at a tough time, didn't he, when the church was facing those challenges?
Yes, it was the site of big challenges in terms of what do we do with the changing church, and more buildings than there are people to make use of the buildings that way. So there was that, but he also came in at a time of great controversy when the priest abuse controversy especially was very high, and as he said in his press conference in Hartford when he was announced Archbishop designate, that his predecessor, Bishop Hoffman, had to remove some priests, and Bishop Blair also had to remove some priests. But there was still much that Bishop Blair had to do, and in some ways he acted early. He did get some people removed, and the controversy nationwide was addressed in such a way that it died down some. But there are still many people who are upset with the state of things now in terms of knowing all of the priests who have been accused. And I know that Bishop Blair did publish a list of some priests who were targets of investigation. And he's being called on in Connecticut to do the same thing. Here he also did get involved in a bad controversy with Father Gerald Robinson being finally convicted of the murder of
Sister Margaret Ann Paul.
Yes, yes, but there are still lingering questions about that.
Okay.
So,
well, and those are some of the those are controversies.
Yeah.
But what about the things he's done here, TK? That people will say, well, you know, he really did stabilize things. He was here for 10 years, presided over a large diocese, and did stabilize things. So aside from the controversies, he's being promoted.
Yes.
Pope Francis says you've done a good job. We're going to make you an archbishop now. So maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, I think in many ways we see a well-functioning diocese here. The Catholic Center is very active in terms of having just its day-to-day operations going smoothly, with Bishop Blair being one of the things that I really recognize is Bishop Blair, besides being the administrator and doing well, he has also always been a minister. One of the things that I've admired is that he continues, for example, to go to places like the Toledo jail and perform Mass there and still reach out as a priest that way. He's been involved in some interactions with people of other faiths, has close friends in the Muslim community here, for example. And he, in that way, is keeping the Catholic Church very active, not just with its own people, but in the community at large.
All right, so let's talk about what happens now. We've got the College of Consultors, right?
Yes.
They get together. There's no puff of smoke here. This is not the College of Cardinals getting together, naming a new pope. But how long will this transition be? Are we looking at a year, possibly, when we'll see the next leader of the Catholic Diocese of Toledo?
Yeah, it could be a year or more until the next bishop comes in.
Okay.
The College of Consultors has to decide by December 24th who the diocesan administrator will be. And that their terms are, it has to be a priest who has to be at least 35 years old and has to have good decorum and, I forget what the other word, good prudence, I think it was.
All right.
And with those, they'll be looking at somebody who I think does a lot of good, has already been active in some of the higher echelons of the diocese, I think.
Okay, and then someone from within, not necessarily the bishop who will be named. We don't know where that person would come from. Bishop Blair came from the Detroit area.
That's true.
I believe Grosse Pointe specifically. Thanks very much for coming in, TK. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Lee.
Continue to read your stories and coverage in the Toledo Blade. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
When we come back in just a minute, we'll talk a little round ball. Todd Kowalczyk, head men's basketball coach at the University of Toledo, right after this.